In this video, I will prove to you why Google not only got back in the game, but has already positioned itself to win by a landslide the entire artificial intelligence war, leaving OpenAI and NVIDIA behind. I know it seems crazy to say this about a company that until yesterday was embarrassing itself with Bard hallucinating and suggesting that people eat rocks. You must be thinking that they are too slow, old, and bureaucratic for this new era. But the reality changed in the blink of an eye. In less than 45 seconds, I will explain why. With the recent code red from OpenAI and Alphabet shares hitting historical records after the launch of Gemini 3 now in 2025, the pieces have finally fallen into place. I analyzed deep down the technical structure, the stack, of all the tech giants and discovered that Google built silently a competitive advantage that no one else in the world can copy. Question for the introduction. Before I show you the proofs of this turning of the tables, let's do a quick intuition test. If you had to bet all your money today on just one company to be the owner of artificial intelligence 10 years from now, would your vote go to OpenAI or to Google? Pause quickly and comment OpenAI or Google down here right now, because I want to see if your opinion will change by the end of the video. Thank you for the comment. Now let's get to the fact. To give you better context, in November 2025, Google put Gemini 3 on the market. This was the most powerful language model they have ever made, and tests show that it was so superior to GPT-5 that OpenAI entered this state of maximum alert. It is this subject that has dominated technology conversations recently. However, there is a crucial point here. Gemini 3 does not threaten only OpenAI. Google has entered a collision course with NVIDIA, Oracle, Microsoft, Meta, AMD, and basically any other big technology company that you can remember. What draws attention is the way they are doing this. It is a strategy that hardly another company would be able to copy. The more we investigate the subject, the more evident it becomes that regardless of what happens in the future of artificial intelligence, Google has positioned itself to win. But to understand this turning of the tables, we need to go back a little in time to the moment when their artificial intelligence strategy seemed lost. Let's return to 2020, before all this explosion of generative artificial intelligence. In that period, Google was facing one of the most critical trials in its history. The government of the United States accused the company of illegally monopolizing the search advertising market. The jury, in fact, found them guilty. There was a real tension that Google would be forced to separate the Chrome browser and the Android system into independent companies. However, this separation never occurred. When the process began, there was not really any real threat to Google's search monopoly. But then came November 2022, and OpenAI launched ChatGPT as a small experiment. The rest of the story we know. 2 months later, the platform already had 100 million users, and the entire technology market shifted focus totally to artificial intelligence. At that time, everyone agreed that this represented an enormous risk for Google. The main profit engine of the company has always been the ads that appear in searches, generating more than $100 billion annually. Only that, compared to a list of blue links, ChatGPT offered a superior experience most of the time. The answers were detailed, personalized, and the interaction by conversation was much more intuitive than trying to guess the right keywords to find what you want. This placed Google in an extremely delicate position. If they created an excellent artificial intelligence product, it would compete with their own search and threaten their biggest source of revenue. On the other hand, they could not afford to ignore the technology because artificial intelligence was clearly the future. We arrive in 2024. When the judge of the antitrust case needed to decide the fate of the company, artificial intelligence had already transformed the nature of searches. In the end, the decision was against the division of the company. The reasoning was logical. Google might have been guilty of monopoly in the past, but now that business model had fierce competition and they needed to move, the truth is that they were trying, but the beginning was disastrous. A few months after ChatGPT, they launched Bard. In the official demonstration, the system got a basic fact wrong, which cost Google more than $100 billion in market value in a single day. 1 year later, they changed the name to Gemini, which came with image generation, but which also stumbled on issues of creating images of historical figures in the wrong way, generating more embarrassment. Then came the automatic answers telling people to put glue on pizza. For a company with Google's engineering fame, it was shameful. Many people said that the company had become too big and bureaucratic to innovate. But looking back, it seems that they were just preparing themselves. Since the end of the judicial process, Google has launched products at a very fast pace. VO3 for video and Nano Banana for images are undoubtedly the best tools on the current market. And Gemini 3 surpassed GPT-5 in such a way that it generated panic in the competition. The fight is no longer just about chat robots. OpenAI is in crisis, of course, but the threat extends to the infrastructure. NVIDIA, Oracle, Meta, Microsoft, Apple. Google is competing with all of them at the same time and is positioned to win the war of the artificial intelligence industry as a whole. And speaking of this clash of giants, if you are enjoying understanding the backstage of this dispute of trillions of dollars, do your part already. Leave the like and leave the hype. This shows that you want more deep content like this. Instead of just shallow news, to understand the size of this, we need to visualize the technology layers of artificial intelligence. There are 5 main layers. First, the hardware, which is the physical device. Second, the product, which is the application, like ChatGPT. Third, the fundamental model, which is the technology itself, the brain of the thing. Fourth, the data centers, which are those giant warehouses full of computers. And fifth, the design of the chips that run all of this. The current scenario shows specialized companies. Meta and Apple make hardware. OpenAI and Anthropic make models. Oracle and Microsoft take care of data centers. NVIDIA and AMD design chips. The difference with Google is that it does not specialize in only one layer. It covers absolutely all of them. This total integration is what makes it so dangerous for competitors. Let's start with the base, chip design. NVIDIA became the most valuable company in the world because all the large models were trained on its chips. Until Gemini 3 arrived, Google designs its own chips called Tensor Processing Units, or TPUs in the English acronym. While NVIDIA's chips are great for various things, TPUs are made specifically for the mathematics of artificial intelligence. Gemini 3 was trained exclusively on these Google chips, proving that NVIDIA is no longer the only cutting-edge option. Google not only has equivalent chips, but it plans to double production by 2028. And now, instead of using these chips only internally, they started selling them. They closed a deal of 1 million chips with Anthropic, and there are rumors of sales to Meta and OpenAI. They are breaking NVIDIA's dominance, attacking its biggest clients, going up to the second layer, data centers. Microsoft and Oracle build infrastructure full of NVIDIA chips and rent to others. Google does the same with their cloud, but with a fundamental difference. Since they manufacture their own chips, they do not pay NVIDIA's profit. They only absorb the production costs. This allows Google to design chips, hardware, and infrastructure to work in perfect harmony, greatly increasing energy efficiency. The result is that Google's cloud can operate at a fraction of the cost of competitors. Cloud sales grow 30% a year and already represent almost 20% of the company's revenue. In the layer of fundamental models, OpenAI led with the previous versions of GPT, but version 5 was seen by many as a small update. Meanwhile, Gemini 3 surpassed all performance tests. OpenAI launched a recent update that is competitive, but in the long run, this weekly exchange of technical leadership matters less than the business structure. What really matters is the product. ChatGPT has insane numbers, almost 900 million weekly users. Gemini has about 650 million monthly, but it grows fast. Both have a gigantic potential to earn money with ads. Retention is the key here. The more you use it, the better the assistant gets and the harder it is to switch to another. It might be difficult to take the throne from ChatGPT, but Google has an advantage that OpenAI does not have. the ecosystem. OpenAI has the chat and the video generator. Google has Chrome, Gmail, Drive, Docs, Sheets, Search, Maps, Calendar, Meet, Photos, YouTube, and the Android system. No other company on earth competes with this reach. And Google is inserting artificial intelligence into all of this. If you use Gmail or Docs, you are going to use Google's artificial intelligence, whether you want to or not. Leaving this ecosystem will be incredibly laborious. Finally, the last layer, access hardware. Most people access artificial intelligence through the cell phone. Google has the Pixel line of cell phones, which gains popularity every year. And soon they will launch glasses with artificial intelligence. If this is the next big computing platform, Google will be in the lead. Summarizing the whole story, Google is positioned at all levels of artificial intelligence technology. This total integration is a structural advantage that no other company seems capable of copying now. Furthermore, Google has worked with machine learning since the 90s, has the best research team, and of course, a lot of money in the bank to spend. The speed of current launches is impressive. New tools appear all the time. And while other companies suffer fluctuations in shares due to fear of a bubble in this market, Google keeps going up without stopping, approaching a market value of $4 trillion. Even Warren Buffett invested in them. In the end, if we believe that artificial intelligence is going to change the world, it is difficult to argue that there is a safer bet than Google. Perhaps the race actually already has a defined winner even before it finishes. Now that you have seen the full arsenal they have in their hands, tell me the truth. For you, has game over already been decreed and Google won? Or do you think OpenAI or Nvidia still have some secret card up their sleeve to bring down this empire? Write your theory there in the comments and I will answer the most interesting arguments. So if you want to be on the team of those who understand the future before it happens, don't hesitate. Leave the like and leave the hype right now. This way YouTube keeps you always ahead in this race.